What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC. We're back for a double episode today. Crypto in the morning, live every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern, guys. We do the most up-to-date DeFi breakdowns every single day as we do them. You know, we're not really talking about trading and price too much. We just talk about assets we like to buy, technologies that we like to invest in. So because you can never know the prices in crypto, guys. But you can bet on the right horses with the right liquidity at the right time. And that's the advantage of paying attention, you know, and stuff like this comes out. Right now, we're talking about ETF. They came out 4 days ago, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong on that. And, you know, within 3 days, I think hundreds and hundreds of people are starting to gather and talk and learn what's the difference between proof of stake and proof of work and why is it important? Yeah, you can always write down the differences of two things. But when it comes to mass scaling, you have to look a little deeper. There's adoption involved. What's going to happen in the future? You got to set up a lot of parameters to make it work. So that's why we really want to talk to the team of ETF, and we want to work through some of these concepts. You know, it's nice. Let's have a professional in the room for once. It's just a bunch of us knuckleheads. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. Crypto in the morning, guys, live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to drop the link right now. Make sure you retweet, guys. Let's get this party started. We got 63 in here already. Peace.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. GymRatCrypto sent me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning. 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 Crypto in the morning.
Well, what up? What up? What up? It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody in the chat today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. We've been talking about proof of work. We've been talking about proof of stake, and some of the I have some questions about proof of stake. Like I don't know what's going on over there. You're increasing concentration of power, and I don't know. There's some other pieces.
I just want people in the industry to step up. There's so much open ground for entrepreneurial success. And I see a bunch of people, not all people, of course, there's some very sharp people, but I see a group of guys that just can't get along. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we get along? Everyone's like, my coin's better than this coin's better than that coin. It's like, no, dude, we want this to work. It's a better user experience. It's a better future. Some of us are men and we just want to see the world be a better place. Yeah, we'll make money on the way there, but that's not always the point, guys. The price chart goes up and down. If you watch it all day, your life's going to suck. Let's bring our man on.
Dr. R, how are you doing this evening?
Hey everyone, how are you? Good. I'm doing good.
Hey, I wanted to ask before we jump into because I was thinking of maybe go proof of work, proof of stake, then talk about maybe ETW and then Ethereum Fair and just contrast that a little bit, and then kind of get into like the roadmap and technology. But before we kind of go down that path, can you give us a little 2-minute elevator pitch on yourself and like your crypto life and how you've gotten into this and where you are?
Sure. This is Dr. Ran. I was introduced to this industry 5 years ago. And then I've been a believer and a builder and personally also an investor all the way from blockchain, from layer 1, layer 2, and to DeFi, to GameFi, and finally to Web3. So that's pretty much that's quite something in 5 years, but we know that time in crypto is much faster, right? 10 times faster than Web 2, right? So that's pretty much about me. Right now, I'm in the core team of EtherFair, which is we call them the first and the first of the last perfect fork for Ethereum. And we will stick to POW, and we will also integrate its layer 1 and layer 2 to create a fair POW-based ecosystem, blockchain ecosystem, mainly for NFT and Web3.
Yeah. Did you have a question? I wanted to ask. You mentioned proof of work, right? So Ethereum just switched to proof of stake. I've had some questions to people in the community that I've been talking to, and I haven't been able to understand why they think it's better. So what I've seen is you have the miners, the validators, effectively, what they're called now, but the miners in proof of work, who are not necessarily the biggest owners of Ethereum, but then you also have the owners, which are separate. So there's a separation of power to a certain degree. Under proof of stake, they come together to a great degree, because now to be a validator, you need 32 ETH, right? And then it's bringing those two pieces together, because they weren't always together under proof of work. One piece there. And then there's a couple other things related to that, but can you talk about proof of stake versus proof of work and your belief?
What is the reason someone would use proof of stake, and what is the reasons? Because you've obviously thought about both systems. Yep. So in general, when building, what is the reason people have for building proof of work protocols and proof of stake?
Okay, so I'm trying to be fair here, because I hold a PhD degree in the United States. So I try to be not too much personal opinion. So far, we can see that these are the two different ways to calculate to support the consensus. Consensus means that more than a portion of all the nodes says that, yes, we validate this transaction, right? This transaction could be a deposit, a transfer, whatever, on Ethereum or all the other layer 1 and the layer 2s. But POW is that we use some computational power. This power could be running on a CPU, could be running on a GPU, could be running on a ASIC specific miner machines. So you spend some time, you spend some electricity, you calculate some random number, and there's a likelihood that this random number, let's say it's below 5. Okay, and if you are the lucky guy which calculates this random number, then you have the priority to write down this transaction, say, hey, this is valid, I approve this transaction. That's a POW. So there was some work. This work involves a calculation of a super difficult random number, and it's supported by electricity, computational power, chips, and computers. We call them the mining machines, right? So POW actually it's trying to calculate the same thing, but you don't have to burn your electricity, or you don't have to run that power. You actually by staking this kind of like a no less than 32 ETH, you got the qualification to be able to calculate that. Okay, and then so you don't need to burn any electricity, and you don't need to calculate to do any logical calculations. Say, this is I have to calculate 5 seconds or 13 seconds to calculate that. But you're gonna have to that amount of Ethereum or any other layer 1 tokens on your account to support it, to qualify for such a calculation. And both are a way to validate decentralization, which I believe both are valid in terms of how we decentralize this computational network. So that's pretty much a 2-minute layman explanation for what is POW and what is POS. Why we are doing this, and which is good or bad. Let me start with some interesting story. Actually, Ethereum and Bitcoin, they all start as POW, and not this year actually. Many years ago, 4 years ago actually, 2018, Vitalik announced that Ethereum layer 1 is going to enter the POS, but due to the COVID, due to technology, due to the community is not ready, so that task was delayed for 2 years. And just a week from now, the past week, Ethereum was very successfully forked and merged to a POS. It's a lot of engineering work, even though I'm within the core team of EtherFair, but I will still want to say again, congratulations to the whole Ethereum family, especially to Vitalik. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's just another way to calculate, to support consensus, which is the core value for decentralized computation and the decentralized ledger.
So thank you for taking the time to explain this. What is your thought? Because clearly you're on the POW side, right? You're on proof of work side. So now I understand you're being objective, and I appreciate that. Now, what is because you could be on either side, but clearly you've had a personal choice to go with POW. Can you tell us why?
Is it security related?
Yeah. So to give some example, this is my personal opinion, and this is also a strong belief for the whole Ethereum Fair team and all the other POW based. First thing first, let's start with reason 1, 2, 3. The number one reason is that as far as we know, as of today, Bitcoin was a commodity. It was treated as a commodity, not a security, right? And Ethereum used to be a commodity and was a commodity till yesterday, but right now, this morning, there are a lot of news and noises saying that, hey, you are under US jurisdiction and could be a security. There will be a long argument on that, and that will severely affect the true decentralization of any blockchain.
Can ETF separate from the securities situation that the SEC is talking about?
Well, to be honest, I've been in this country for many years, and we work with regulators. We work with SEC, with CFTC, whatever. But as of now, BTC is treated as commodity, and it is a POW, and we are forking exactly the version of Ethereum using POW. So if there's any change, will be the last one to be picked in their radar screen.
Say that last part. So you're copying the exact same thing, and then I missed it. What was that?
It's called hard fork, right?
Yep.
So I can give you some story about that. So forking a code is not just like a click fork. That's different. Our engineering team actually we have been preparing about this for 4 years. We are at that time a week ago. Here's what happened in Ethereum. So Ethereum, many years, Ethereum claimed that, hey, we are going to merge. We are going to merge with the Beacon chain at some height, say 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very big number, the block height, and this has been written in the many news, in the contracts, and in the announced for all communities. So many of our collaborators and many other POW chains, right? We are facing 3 options. Number one is that you can fork before the merge happened, and then by doing that, you will miss the final couple of blocks that Ethereum states it's been changing, right? Because every block there are some tens of transactions there. You are lost that amount of data. The second way is that let's be safe. Let's wait. Let's work with Vitalik for a couple of blocks, say a day or 8 hours, to see if everything is okay. If everything is okay, then we will start to fork. What we did is that we write a new set of code to automatically 100% fork right on the block height.
But so you forked the block height post merge, is that right?
Right on the merge.
Oh, on the
It's
merge,
not
exactly.
before, it's not after. So we are not missing any state change in original Ethereum.
And that probably helps with the pair between the two of them as well, because they came out at the exact same time rather than them coming out like weeks and weeks and weeks separate, but it's the same code, you know what I mean? But the liquidity is completely different. You know,
Liquidity different because anything can happen, right? Because so we are actually keeping all the states on Ethereum up to that specific block before that. Everything was kept. That's what we are doing, the third approach, which we are pretty happy and proud of that. And I'm going to talk with Vitalik about this. It's a way we show that we respect, and it's a way that we show that we are fair to every single developers or users on the original Ethereum.
Can you talk about, because there's the other fork of Ethereum, and it seemed to be, I could be wrong, but it seemed to be that the news seemed to talk about that one, at least the news that was being presented to me by the algorithm, right, seemed to be ETHW, which popped up more frequently. Like I did see another fork, but like there was one, it was definitely leaning in one direction from my news feed. But what is the differences between ETHW and Ethereum Fair?
The difference lies in a couple of things. Number one is that the forking timing, the forking moment is different. We are right on the exact height, and the other chains, we know that they wait for 8 hours or 12 hours, and then announce the new. I cannot say it's due to technical issue. I'm not the one to evaluate that, to make that claim. But we know, at least from our side, we tried a lot. We actually do internal testing, internal forking for 4 times every week before the fork to make sure that we can fork on that exactly block. That's number one. Number two is that, yes, so because we spent a lot of time and resource on that, we were not sorry for the community. We were not announcing a lot of news on the public media, which was reminded by some of our good friends. So that's why we're here. That's why I'm sitting here with you guys. Thanks for the invitation, and
Thank you.
We will keep building the community, and we are trying to keep the original flavor and the philosophy of a POW based layer 1 Ethereum, which does not mean that we are going to stay here. We are also encouraging a lot of layer 2s. No matter the beauty for Ethereum compared to Bitcoin is that Ethereum is programmable, right? So we were also building a lot of inviting developers to proposing all kinds of layer 2s or maybe even layer 3s to the ecosystem. So you will see 2 different Ethereum. One of them, the layer 1, is POS based. The second one, the layer 1, is POW based. So I can say that.
Is there room for both?
Yes.
Is there room for both to survive? Like, how do you see the future of crypto? Do you see multiple layer 1s that have a decent market valuation, or do you see more so 2 or 3 kind of just holding strong and everything else petering out? Because I kind of see a world where there's like maybe 6 to 10 where the people are kind of interchangeably moving through them, because there's a lot of there's a lot of people willing to work and make money right now too, and it's the bear market, and there's a lot of opportunity here.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a very open person, so I'm open to all the technical innovations, such as right now we will see quite a few POW and POS version of Ethereum. We will also see a lot of other, we call them the Web3 version of layer 1, such as Apple's Sui and Linera and the Canto. The way why I like this country, why I like this place is that because I myself stay in Bay Area for 20 years, and I love the innovation, right? If that's not me, that could be you. right? So innovation will bring new ecosystems, and the layer one definitely is the best way for a big story, a big narrative that can support not just 100 million, maybe 100 billion, like Ethereum right now. And that's number one. Number two is that even I have no doubt that Ethereum will be very successful. And my personal evaluation is that because POW actually, there's a very key differentiator between a POW layer one and a POS layer one is the random number. Random number for POW, just like Bitcoin, that's random number. You can see that's the core value, the core calculation for any blockchain. And POW, it's been proving to working there for 5 years, 10 years, and it's safe. And for POS, we need a lot of time to prove that.
Can you talk about that? Because I think it's a little nuance that I don't have the understanding of. You said the random number, and can you explain like why is that important? And like POS doesn't have the experience of doing this random number, but like present that by itself, because I think we should dive into that a little bit deeper.
Well, technically, it's more like a crypto research, cryptography research. I can recommend you guys some videos on YouTube for that, according to my own research experience, because most of the calculations, they are based on a true random number. Okay, and that's the fundamental. Actually, if you talk to any professor or PhD students in any university, they will in CS departments, they will tell you exactly the same thing. So that's exactly the founding cornerstone for cryptography and then to blockchain, because we need a secure random number to sign, to validate, to verify all the other transactions. We need that. And the POW, at least, is proven, because we may have like quantum physics, we may have some post-quantum computation, but as of now, the random number generator in POW is proven to be secure. The same thing, I cannot make the same claim for the random number in POS. That's we call them the 51 attack, the 51% attack. To say something more about this, if you want to do something bad for a POW blockchain, you have to physically find this 51% computers and tell them to calculate as you directed. But that will cost some time, because Ethereum has like 1 million computers minimum. No one knows where are they. You cannot fetch 50%, 51% of them in a month or in a week something. For POS, you need you need money. If you have enough money or the token staked, you can change that. Of course, there are a lot of research, as Vitalik described in the passing Stanford Blockchain Week. There was some way that a society-based anti-voting to stop that, but it's not proved. It's still in research. Right.
Okay.
So that's the major difference between a POW-based layer one and a POSW layer one in terms of the core technology, the random number generator.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand this, and hopefully this is helpful to the guys. If you guys have questions, use the hashtag question and then leave your question, and then we'll ask Dr. Rand those towards the
and smash the like, guys. What the heck? Smash the like, hit the subscribe, biceps in the chat for Dr. Ron. Let's get back to it.
So we have around the essence, if we really think about crypto, because I don't have the same depth of research around cryptographics and how all this works, but the essence of that, from what I'm gleaning from you, is that ability to generate a random number. That random number is utilized in signatures and in transactions to help validate it. And it's been proven in proof of work, like for years, obviously. Where in proof of stake, that is a new mechanism that's taking place, and the semantics from the miners, and then you have validators, right? Very similar, changing. I'm sure there's a reason why it's actually changed. But the question I had related to this is, why do I've heard or read that proof of work is susceptible to a 51% tax, but proof of stake is not susceptible to that? Can you talk about that in a little? I know you were just about to get into that a little bit, but can you talk about that a little bit more? Because I might have this wrong, or I just don't have enough information. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm not saying that POS will suffer from this and POW will not. No, both of them will suffer from this 51% attack. It's just the time of difficulty, like how many days, how many machines. Because I'm been in the mining area for a couple of years, for a fairly long time, and decentralization actually physically exists. For if you have 1 million nodes to calculate this. But this does not matter if you are calculating the consensus of Dodge or LTC or BTC or Ethereum. Is the same thing, because it's just spread all over the place in the world. And the Ethereum and Bitcoin, Ethereum definitely they are one of the best, if not the top two. It should be the top two, if not the top one, the best on decentralization, because there are more than 1 million nodes calculating this consensus every single moment, every 13 seconds.
You said 1 million nodes, and there's a site, I don't remember the site, but Bullish could pull it up if he wants to show it on the screen. I was looking at something we were looking at on the show where it said the nodes for Ethereum pre-merge were like 5,800 nodes. So that's a different number than the million. Where does that come from, or what am I not?
It's fluctuating because everyone knows that from 4 years ago, everyone knows that this day it's going to come. And 2 years ago, people know that approximately that's a calculator. Calculate how long this merge will happen. And a lot of people, a lot of nodes actually starts to live, according to my observation, 6 months before that. So peak level more than 1 million. Bottom level is right now 0, because at least the some of them switch to other POW chains. Some of them keep the machine there doing nothing, observing curiously. And but originally the POW nodes for Ethereum, they no longer exist. All of them are switching to other tasks.
Okay. Okay. So with I don't want to understand the difference between, say, thank you for pulling up, Bullish, the difference between, say, nodes to protect a network versus miners to protect a network, right? Because can you help me understand that piece? Like, I know nodes are different than mining, right? But what's the interplay there because one, you can do a 51% attack, if I understand correct, but like nodes are. Please, I'd like to hear your.
Sure. So miners, actually, one miner can have multiple nodes, right? Because it can own like 10,000 or 500 mining machines, right? And each of them, minimum, each of them could be a node if they are willing to, unless they want to join some other bigger pool to compute together, right? So that's pretty much the conceptual difference between nodes and miners. We talk miners only to POW networks.
And so you'll have a node that has people who mine tend to run nodes, but you can also run a node separately without mining.
Yes, for POS, you can absolutely perfectly fine to run a node without mining anything. You just need to stake. And
POW is when you're mining, is mining also considered a node?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. But in POW, you could mine, or you could just do a node as well.
In POW, you're providing your validating service by mining. Okay, in POS, you provide your validating service by staking.
Okay.
It's just two options, like you go to McDonald's or go to KFC.
Is there a from what I've understand, and I could be incorrect here, but the network that has the most amount of mining or hash or something is the one that is the most secure in a way, right? Can you talk to us about that a little bit and how Ethereum Fair plans on like expanding that to continue to grow that? Because from my understanding, if there's two different competing POWs, then that increases the risk of either one because the hash is split between both of them.
Sorry, can you please repeat the question again? Because my reception was not very good for the past. I'm missing the the last 5 seconds.
Okay, from a POW standpoint, the hash or like the mining power behind those, from my understanding, is very important. And if you have one that dwarfs the other, then that makes it more powerful from a security standpoint. So if you have two, right, ETH and ETF, right, how can ETF, like, what's that roadmap for ETF to get miners on board, to get more people running nodes on there to help create a more secure network, and then obviously help with adoption?
Oh, sure. Good question. $1 million question. I think there's no short answer to this question, to be honest with you, because the decentralization is the critical part, the essential answer to this. But in order to achieve that, we need a pretty big community, a pretty good market, healthy market, and we will also need a very good ecosystem. So developers and users, they will come here. Right now, I'm saying that we are only at a very early stage of that. So we roll out our grant ecosystem, grant application system, and I myself am applying some of them, and more than welcome to apply that. And but in addition to that, there were some new things that I see the ETF team is doing, and quite surprised me. Number one is that keep innovation. Innovation actually, like for me, I'm like from the technical background, so I know that just by proposing a forking the code, it's not going to change a lot of things. We will need a lot of healthy layer twos, and this I'm a big believer for layer 1, the layer 2, and maybe even layer 3, because all the most important assets should be kept on layer 1, but not every single calculation, because if you are playing game or if you are doing a purchase in Starbucks, all these transactions at some stage they should move to layer 2 or layer 3.
I have a question about, when it comes to stable coins in general, like people have faith in stable coins. It doesn't mean the chain can't exist as long as you can trade in and out of it to something. Well, as far as stable coins, I think some people were excited because the guy from Tron has something to do with this project, and it's not easy to successfully, have a stable coin in any way, shape, or form. And so people are excited by the proposition that might be a reality. What does a stable coin mean to a layer 1 in general, it's probably different between proof of stake and proof of work a little bit, but generally, is that part of the roadmap? Is that something people want to get to right away?
Good question. Stablecoin actually, it's a cornerstone for DeFi, or we call them the last generation of the crypto and the blockchain. But from the perspective of developers like me in Web3, no matter I'm in POS or in POW, and I think the NFT and the assets exchange network based on that will be a much bigger one, and which is the core direction for us to build up this ecosystem, aiming at 10 times or even 100 times mass adoption in terms of users, because that will bring all the assets, no matter it's from the off-chain to Ethereum or to ETF or to Doge. I'm a big believer that NFT, especially the tokenized assets in terms of NFT will be a big thing, and it will also be a big thing for us.
Does the like, is there a plan for a stable coin? Because I wanted to ask about those grants as well. But is there talks among the developers? Like, because a lot of people really like stable coins.
And what kind of stable coins do you like personally? Like, because there is a few different types of way people go about that.
For myself, I like DAI the best.
Explain why.
Good question. So DAI is like a more internationally well recognized, and also I used to be a big fan of the DAI packed or stablecoin packed. We call them the other side, the other kind of like Luna or USD, but that's definitely not in the consideration of us in the near horizon. So I heard that we have some third party developers which are developing and ecosystem building or DApp for this stable coins on ETF. But again, like me or like any other developer, this is a permissionless network, right? I think the goal for the core value for ETF is that build a big enough ecosystem so that the decentralization provides security in terms of mining, in terms of POW. That's the core value.
And some of the ways to drive that adoption is surely going to be with the grant. What are some of like what are you guys seeing with the grant, right? Because obviously we've had 72 hours, this super, super early, but how are you seeing, is there a lot of people reaching out? I think you mentioned you're partially in the process of granting or somewhere in that sequence. How is the reception for this so far?
Yeah, the reason why I'm here is that I myself is a developer and I applied for the grant. I'm a big believer for this. So there are a couple of stages for this grant. Number one is that I think at least compared to ETC, ETF, we as far as I know, there's a big portion of grant that's open for developers and protocols to apply. It depends on three different stages. Number one is that it's just a grant. So you come here, you come here with a cool idea. We say, hey, dude, we like that. So let's do that. And we will not interfere what to propose because this is permissionless, right? Number two is that if after some time this really runs some good numbers of users and our community say, hey, this is really good, that will go to the second and the third stage. If that's a DeFi one, or we will provide the liquidity. Say we will ingest some tokens to the pool so that the user can start to do DeFi mining on that. The second is that we also want to invest on cool projects, just like Ethereum Foundation did with MetaMask, with Uniswap, right? That actually fundamentally changes the whole landscape of ecosystem. And we want to do the same thing at a scale that we can afford. But we know that this is critical. Like I believe I applied one or two grants. One of them is to provide a social SVT based one on these videos and stages and the show. So maybe after a couple of days, you will see a dropping token, playing token next to my face. That's some social experiments that we want to try with all the layer ones, especially the POW layer one here.
So the grant is actually three parts. You were saying the first is just an initial stage, right? And then part two is after a benchmark is hit or something.
Sorry, what's your last question again?
So the grant, it looks like is three parts, right? So the first part is just the cool idea and presenting it like, some form of white paper, light paper, or something along those lines, a rough idea of what it is and how you might proceed with it. That's step one. And if a benchmark is hit, or if where do you gauge whether you're going to add LP onto something? Like, what's the cutoff? How do you decide that?
It is a decision made by the community, not by, because I'm also one of the applicants, right? So I'm also one of the one of the applications to this cool thing, because I believe like NFT is going to revolutionize the tokens, the assets, not only just in the crypto world, but also from the Web2, from the real physical world. So like your social behavior, anything. So as far as the materials, I have read, the community is going to create some guidelines and the committee to facilitate these kind of decisions. So it's at some stage I could be one of the applicants. At some stage, if I got invited, I could be in the committee to do this. But it's a community-driven decision process. It's not something that I can say I guarantee. Sorry, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
And,
very interesting. Can you tell us about what you're working on?
Yeah, so one of the cool protocol that I'm working on is that it's a SBT. It's a soul-bound token-based social network, and we want to claim the for every single interview and shows, so that you guys can come to our protocol. No matter it could be in multiple chains. You can choose your chain, and you can claim that, hey, I'm going to create my own specific show NFT for this interview, and then all this claim, and you provide some perks, and they start to trade on some of the non-SBT NFTs or tokens, and then you grow your fans, and you bring more fans and more supporters to the chain.
Is that kind of the first thing that comes to mind is like YouTube memberships or Patreon? Is it somewhere kind of?
It's somewhere there. It's like a fan token, but with some like a it's like a fan token or fan token plus membership. And I believe this is something that ETF is seriously to expand the awareness and the collaboration between KOL and the fans, between one people and a group of other people in the real world. This happens every day, right? In Twitter, in TikTok, in Facebook.
Right here.
And we really want to make sure that the token belongs to you, right? No matter you are using decentralized ID or no matter you are using SBT, we really want to guarantee. Well, our way of doing that is that we protect this by POW. It's that this NFTs, these tokens belongs to you.
And is it so say GRC publishes content or I'm publishing content, does like, I don't know how far you are on that path, obviously, because it still sounds maybe like you're early on this. Is GRC coming up with the GRC token that is kind of like a paywall behind the stuff that he's publishing?
We try to avoid the Web2 version of the paywall or something that it's more like a tokenized version of freemium. Right? So you either show you have a good credit, you are the true lover, or you stake something like the SBT or non-SBT token to start to consume the content.
Okay, and they'll use that token to consume it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
We've been collecting some questions here from the audience that I would love to bring up here. I'll just start at the top here. GRC, you want to read this out? Whoop, you're muted.
You muted yourself.
Does the mining after the fork cover operating expenses on the new chain?
Right now, simple answer to that is yes. And for exact numbers, it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. What I observe is that in terms of like all the other POW chains adds up together, right now it's consuming about 5 to 10%. It's growing 5 to 10% of the original Ethereum computational power, and it's growing. So it's a very dynamic. It will change every day. And please do your own research. I'm not recommending that, hey, you have to mine some other specific. That's not our job.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
You choose one, then start early.
Where's the best place to find the RPC settings to explore the chain?
There are two places to find this. Number one is from our official Twitter, and we are going to post that every other week or every other day, so that you can make sure that you follow the right one.
And we posted all the information below on the video description.
Yeah.
So that's good for there. Where can we check on the number of mining pools and hash rate for ETF?
What is what?
It's where can we check on the number of mining pools and hash rate? So where can you see the miner activity?
Sure. There are actually a couple of websites that let me suggest our developers to publish that on the Twitter. There are like F2 pool or some other famous pool. They are already publishing the real time, up to like 1 minute, near real time, hash power, and there are some calculator based on that you can go there and calculate the return or the cost of the mining service here.
Do you know of can you point us in that direction? But like, do you know of a name or where to point? Like,
sure, it's a fish F for fish F2 pool. That's definitely one of the biggest. I would say top three. So you can get such information, not just for Ethereum ecosystem, for all the others. You can do calculation there. That's I realized that their calculation is pretty accurate.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake system? Initial inflation by proof of work is resistant algo and scaling the consensus toward proof of stake when the network grows. Best of both worlds. Is anything like that possible in like the realm of possibilities when you're thinking about it?
It's still a direction for research, I would say, because everyone we have overseen the progress development of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I don't think anyone can just say I will reproduce that. I will create a POW first and then get a POS. But actually, Yannick's question is pretty smart, because there are some dApps that there are some protocols that are doing this. They create some bounding curve that when you initially doing the cold start, we call them cold start, say you don't have a lot of validators, you don't have a lot of users on your ecosystem, but you still want to do decentralization for security. And then you can either do app chain, such as Avalanche or Binance. They are doing this. You use the security from the main chain. And when you grow enough, you can keep your own application chain and grow that. But because of the markets, that experiment is still going on right now. I'm not pretty optimistic about that. That's number one. Number two is that layer one, the layer two, maybe plus layer three could be one of that. Number three is that I know a pretty cool professor from Stanford University. David Steer is a good friend of mine. He's also doing some experiments to use the security from Bitcoin to anchor the security of other POS chains. But it's still in research. It's still in the early stage. But yes, so you know that's why it's cool for crypto, right? There's always some smart guy, genius to do this very innovative experiments. It's social, it's financial, it's technology. It's cool.
It's very cool. And this is going to make the world a better place, truthfully, because the experience I'm having on these chains, although it is clunky because everything's new, it is way better than having a middleman and having to deal with all of the bull crap that they put you through and force you to feel like you have to deal with. Instead, I can, make some investments on these chains for next to no money in gas. Virtually, obviously this morning, when things are connecting and the blocks of certain assets and everything's not connected yet, things are a little clunky. But as soon as everything got up and Uniswap was running, it was pretty smooth. And I mean, that's pretty darn good for 3 days in. Like, we're in a bear market. The valuations of most of these things were at zero. So that's a big factor too. Like that means that all the kinetic energy moves upward rather than downward, because there's no downward sell pressure. There's nothing to sell. There's no rich people that want to sell nothing. So it's important to understand. I like the upside. I like the upside of all of it because I just like the upside.
I agree.
I agree. Same here. I'm like, come on, it's no matter what, right? So let's choose upside.
There's Digital Farm asked a question. Does this sound? Go ahead.
What about the regulatory environment changed? How does that affect proof of work? I guess he's talking about the regulatory environment as far as environmental concerns. What is the concern? Like, if this went to mass adoption, like how much energy would it be negligible?
So I remember at the same day of the merge, when I actually tweet about the merge reduced about 0.2% of the energy of global consumption, which is big. So I'm here to say something from my humble opinion, not just for Ethereum, for ETF, not just for ETHW. It's just I think another way is that we will try to use incentives. If anyone can use incentives to smartly use the energy, that could be another good solution, right? Because the energy is there. Like we really want to encourage that how to incentivize this way of switching the energy to serve the group of people that really need it. I think that's something that for myself I'm considering of that. So I'm a little bit against like cutting off, say this is 100% right, that's 100% not right. I'm a lighter like, can you incentivize the dynamic to move towards the good direction?
Do you think that kind of almost is slightly built in place with proof of work? Because if I'm mining and my utility bill is expensive, I have an incentive to, maybe add solar, maybe add batteries and utilize the batteries at peak pricing times. Like in one way, right? I already have a little bit of, right? Because it's going to be more profitable for me if I'm running miners to do that, right?
Yes, and also there's a cool project. It's also based in Bay Area, and that guy actually they provide some AC air condition based miners, so that you put them in your house. Suppose you are in because I'm originally from the East Coast, so you can put a miner in some winter basements, and they start to mine some tokens, and it translate to your energy bill. You get maybe half or even zero energy bill if the value is really good.
That's
right? So
there's definitely a market for it. People do it.
That is freaking awesome. Especially like I'm here in Florida. It's warm here in Florida. It's 89 degrees out or something, and during the summer it's 95 plus, right? So whether it's an AC unit or I'm actually from New York, or a heater that is has the capacity to be able to mine, I think that is very, very interesting. This person here actually asks one more question that was a perfect segue into this question. Could you see in the future, with faster microchips and connectivity, a POW system running on the background of a cell phone?
I would say yes. Yes, it depends on the battery development and how you define and how people say Apple design this kind of cool phones. One thing that I encourage everyone to pay attention to is that I know Solana Labs, they invented a brand new, they call them crypto phone, the Solana Saga, which right now has no mining apps there. But maybe someday you will be able to mine that by storage, by the storage and by the computational power in your cell phone. And I'm pretty optimistic on that. Let me say, maybe that could be happening in the next 2 or 3 years.
I think they won't come out with another phone unless someone can get. There's going to be some sort of gamifying aspect to the cell phone with the kids.
You put more data there, you put the storage there. This is not so. I'm also saying the same thing for all the POW based ones like ETHW, ETHF. That will be a big change.
Now we have a lot of users in here, and a lot of them don't buy anything already, obviously, other than on Ethereum because it's so new. Everything's new. So they're just like, well, I'm scared. I have a lot of valuables in my stuff. I don't want to. What do you have to say to the people that are trying to play around with their new coins? To the people that are trying to play around on the network, moving around on it? I know it's not, maybe if you have no idea about crypto, you might want to just keep studying a little bit. But in general, what do you say to the people that are in the mix as far as, they know what they're doing to a degree? Like, why would they use this? Why would they start buying some currency over here when, there is a different valuation somewhere else for a similar product? Now, I like to think of things moving forward and more people joining. And I think this for that is perfect. But what do you think about people moving around, learning about stuff like ETH-POW, ETH-F in that part of everyone's journey? Because it's been a big moment in crypto.
Yeah. So I first, I try to not suggest anything in terms of the market value or something, or value capture something, but for something new, for something innovative, for something that it may change in terms of the creation and the innovation in Web3, I strongly encourage users to not only keep your asset on the famous stable layer ones, also try something usual time and try to find those interesting value capture protocols in the new ecosystems. Of course, I'm not just saying this for ETF. There's a lot of things going on here, and I'm happy to see this innovation, such as the Aptos, Sway, Linera, or here, ETC, ETF, ETW. But one thing that we want to keep in mind is that if you see some ecosystem that really encourages the developers and incentivize the users to adopt, that's something that I would really love to do this, because of course that's a risk. At least my time is valuable, right? So of course I'm expecting that the ETF can grant my application so that I can develop some cool products, cool protocols here. So I would say that's something that I will say, okay, so this ecosystem, they really want to grow with the users. They want to grow with the developers, because again and again, this is a very early stage, right? Ethereum want to build the world. It's a big computer, decentralized, big computer, and I think we are not even in the 10% mark of that interesting journey.
One question from Crypto Gains Club here. Great answer. That was incredible. If you could ask, did Dr. R know of the Hex community before the fork? What do you think of the community before and after the fork? Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I haven't spent a lot of time to study that, but I see some community discussions that I remember there were a group of people, devs, talking about building a trading pair in a Uniswap type of DEX to create the liquidity. I haven't got a chance to follow on that, so
we know all those guys. We've been leading the force on that, and not me really, but my producer guys. We want connectivity, and we have resources, and we have front ends. So our guy Alex is from one of the front ends that we use a lot. Is he's setting up everything the day that he's able to. He's right at his desk updating everyone. So we're having there is connectivity. Like you saw the tweet bullish of Alex, and now people that have Hex, for example, can stake their Hex, and that happened, in just a few days. And that's a lot of the use case for something like Hex, is to produce yield trustlessly. Doesn't really matter the rate, it doesn't really. It's not the point. I mean, it could be whatever, but you're still earning lots of Hex. So that's what we love about, you know, all about the craze of yield producing assets and everything. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. And then we go into SEC, and then we go into everything. But at the end of the day, some of the parameters of DeFi really cannot be stopped to a degree. Like if you have immutable code, if you have a layer, I mean, well, you know, as far as the taxing and the way that they represent it, I don't know, because up to this point, I thought Ethereum was a, you know, under the commodity situation rather than. So it's just going to be an interesting few. I just like to enjoy the ride. Like I know crypto is going to take over. So I like to cover everything, buy a little bit of everything and pay attention really closely, because it's truthfully, you don't get to witness a change in the complete financial system very, you know, what, 3 or 4 times in the world ever. And we get to be a part of it, and we can build on it, and it's open source, and you can have business in it. You know, it's truly incredible. And I can see that when you talk, you really do like crypto. You really do want this to work out because it's a better user experience. It's more fun for guys like us. It's way more fun. Hex Monkey with the $55 super chat. Great streams recently, GRC and Sam. Hex community ahead of the curve as usual. Yes, a lot of Hexicans have a lot of money, and a lot of Hexicans got a lot of free money over on that chain. And I think a lot of people were happy and stimulated in a bear market. Being stimulated can be, you know, really helpful.
I want to ask one more question, and then we'll wrap things up here.
And then I have one more.
Okay, so one more from each of us. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, Dr. R. Like, appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you sharing the knowledge on different nuances within crypto and like explaining those to me. It's been helpful for the people who are listening, I'm sure, as well. So the question I had here was from Hex Famous. What are the risks? Because this is something in this community, a lot of people are like, because there's so many rug pulls, there's so many like bridges getting hacked, there's so many like just money, just whenever there's money around where people can steal it, there's always eyeballs trying to steal it, right? So there's a lot of people who are just timid or scared of this. So this Hex Famous asks this, and I think this is a good, like, he understands what's going on in the community right now. A lot of people are scared to even interact with it because they just don't understand it. But what are the risks that you see of interacting with it? Maybe it's very low, maybe it's barely any, but what are the risks of interacting with, say, ETF?
I would say because it's based on the proven track record of security of Ethereum. So all the fork code, not just ETF, ETC, ETW, they are all pretty much, they're not starting security from scratch. They have some proven record. That's number one. Number two, the downside is that there will be a lot of new projects coming on, and especially for the new projects, because this is a permission blockchain. So be very careful and wait for those ones with a credit report from the security auditors. That will be some add-on security concerns for new protocols. And also number three is that staying actively contributing in the community, and you will see a lot of information is popping out. And I hope that can help to collect some good opportunities, and also to avoid some big rug pulls from unknown risks. That there'll always be something there.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
Because permission is.
Yeah, because anybody could build on it if I, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Now we have a lot of guys that have projects that are primed up and ready on layer ones. I'm talking 10, 20 guys that I know personally that have layer one projects primed up and ready to go for the Ethereum blockchain, but they didn't necessarily know. Nobody knew the timing of any of these things. No one did. I mean, after 6 years of Vitalik saying the same thing, it's hard to be ready, because you just start like, okay, I don't know. I'm not certain. And I have a question to you, 2 questions. One, I'd like your take on the macro before you go, like the overall, like just like as a globally macro rundown, Bitcoin, the S&P, like what do you think in general? And then that was my only question for now. I forgot my other question.
Sure. My observation is that I'm expecting to see something really big in GameFi by the end of this year or early next year. After that, it really depends on the whole economy, because everyone knows that it's not doing very healthy. right now. But according to my limited experience, crypto is more sensitive than the stock market or the investment market here. So if that's going down, it will go deeper. If anything is coming up, it will become a little bit ahead of time and become like an amplifier of the optimistic news.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you coming on, and we're all excited, like I'm excited to be able to learn, because right now learning's at a premium too. Like, well, crypto is going to happen whether you guys like it or not. So you better learn how it works. You better learn how to interact with it, because really once you get it down, it's not so difficult. You spread your assets between, 5 to 10 wallets, and you can really have a little more flexibility with some of them, rather than the problem with staying on one smart contract with all your wealth is you get gun shy to ever even go on the damn thing. You're like, I don't even want to play with the dang thing. I want to keep it shut because there's too much money in there. But that's really not why crypto was invented. It was invented to be immutable, trustless, no middlemen, guys. We don't like middlemen. No more people stealing all your money. I want free transactions. I want to be able to swap between assets. Why not? Why can't I do that? I think the world will be a better place like that. And I think having optionality as far as these layer ones is the way of the future. Like, I really do. It's like, is it vertical scaling, I guess? Like, adding layers to all of this stuff and just continuing to get more users. But then there comes in the rules, there's rules involved and stuff. So that's the hard part for me, because I don't really know what they're willing and able to do to really make their narrative. But to me, it's usually just fear mongering. Like, just like Sam says, it's generally just fear mongering so they can get a better position or whatever. But anyway, let's not get too off topic. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on the show. We have been absolutely inspired by your work, some of the ETH POW work, a lot of the work in Ethereum and DeFi, and I want to thank you for being a part of that, fighting the good fight.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Yes. Do you want to show your Twitter or anything?
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to what do you want people to go to the most if they want to get information?
Do a search on Twitter and com. We have a very nice and cool ambassador program and grant, so that you can come here and participate and play. That's number one. Number two is that I also want to give a round of applause to all the developers, not only for ETF, ETW, ETC. There's a lot of developers there, and we believe POW, and we want to secure the assets, not just for me, but for every one of us.
Appreciate the work. I appreciate the work you're doing. We're going to take us out of here with a song. Peace.
Peace.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Heart. Richard Heart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. PulseChain's out, now get me a check. He's gas up and got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this PulseChain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this PulseChain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start.